chunk of clay here. This clay has been like thrown together. It's some old clay. It's probably got air bubbles and cracks. Some spots are soft, some are a little harder. I need to do something called wedge. And we've got this board that's covered with canvas. So if you try to wedge right on the table, it's probably gonna stick and try to you have to scrape it off with a scraper, but this will keep it, but these do move around. So it does make it a little bit trickier, but it is possible. The way that I like to wedge, if you need to wedge, is sort of like kneading dough. You just push down with both hands and I pick it up and I turn it a little bit. Both hands on top, the big strong parts of your hands, push down and forward, pick it up and turn it a little bit. This is called the spiral wedge. So down, turn. So it's when I pick it up, I just let it turn. So I like to go clockwise, down and turn, and you'll see the spiral will start to happen. This is gonna get all the air bubbles out. This is gonna get it all the same moisture throughout the whole thing. This is especially important if you were throwing on a pottery wheel, which we're not, but it still is important to get all of the cracks and air bubbles out, because you know air bubbles will make it explode a little bit. Okay, I want to make a slab with this. I'm going to just do a little bit of soft slab technique for a second. We've got our cutters here if you need these to cut some off. I don't want a very big slab. I just want to get the bottom of my coil pot. Maybe I'll show you a little soft slab technique, but I just run that stream right through. I want to get this pretty flat to begin with because I'm trying to roll something out. So I'm already just kind of pancaked it out. I can use these sticks, oh, these are familiar, these are our rulers, as guides to let the ruler, this come down and hit on, so that's exactly the right thickness. Or I can cheat, which I don't think is cheating. We've got some of these really cool rulers, rolling pins. They have just the thickness guide already built in. So that's what I'm gonna use. And notice I'm not rolling out on my board, because see how my rolling pins go past the board? It makes it so that it doesn't work. It's not hitting anything. So I've got a bunch of pieces of fabric just for rolling stuff out on. Okay, cool for slab rolling. Now, once you get your slab made, if you were doing a soft slab technique, you might make a template maybe that you might trace, and you might see, you're like, I need a small tube for something I'm making. I don't know what you need that for, but I think I have some bigger ones here. Maybe you're making something about this size and you'd maybe make a template out of paper first. That's obviously not gonna fit, but I still can show you guys what it would be like. So I'm just gonna kind of, I've got my pin tool. See how my pin tool has some clay on it? If I try to cut with that clay on the end, it's gonna like mar it through and it'll be really a gross, yucky cut. So always make sure your cutting tool's clean. I could use a ruler if I needed to, but I just want to show you guys really quick just a few quick things about. I notice I'm cutting on a cloth. Now, a few things here. If I were to attach this together, you can see this would be a really thick attachment spot. So I would want to thin those if that was what it was going to be. And to do that, I can just get my finger wet. I can just thin these, and it's going to spread it out a little bit. But I'll cut that off. Spread this side. So both sides are thin. Now I'm going to trim those edges off. I'm working pretty quick for you guys. I hope you'll have a little more careful craftsmanship. Save all my chunks and pieces because I'm going to need those later. I only get my little bit of clay to use. And now you can see if I were to put this together, now where they meet, or one met the other, now it's the same thickness as everything else. So that's kind of cool. So I would score and slip this together. And if this was the technique I was using, I might make a mark where those two are going to score together. Oh, I did it wrong already. Look, that should be on this side. So one's on one side, one's on the other, okay? And I would go ahead and score. Let's just practice scoring. Oh, look, even my scoring tool has a bunch of dried clay on it. So clean off everything. I'm gonna go ahead and just scratch in 2 different directions. And I like using either my finger or just a little paintbrush, and I cheat. I just add water to all those scratches, just a little bit, and I scratch it one more time. And maybe a 3rd direction. You can see that's made a whole bunch of this ooey gooey slip is everywhere. I'm gonna do the same thing to this side, 2 directions. Trying not to overscore past where I need it. Just a little bit of water. You'll see it travel into all the cracks. It just like zooms into them. It's really cool. Okay, slip is, I created my own slip. And now I can bring this around and I can put these together. And press those nicely. And if I wanted to clean up this seam, I could clean it with my finger. I could leave the seam if I wanted to. I could use the rib tool, supporting it from the inside. And you can make these seams completely disappear, and you can work the whole thing really smooth if you wanted to. So that's just sort of, see that seam, you can't even tell it was there. I know there still needs more cleanup, but that's just kind of a quick example of what you can do with soft slab sort of stuff. So soft slab's fun. You can also stretch out soft slab. I could change the shape of this. Inside I got my fingers wet and I could change the shape. Well, that's kind of cool. It still has some of the texture of the fabric on it. I kind of like that. Or you could paddle it in, just tap it in on a side. And now I have like a really interesting shape happening. This isn't a cylinder anymore. So soft slab is pretty versatile to become a lot of things. So you could really stretch to a degree. You can't stretch too far, you'll end up like, and maybe this is the start of like a face that I'm gonna score and slip like some features on, or maybe a little eyes are gonna go there and a nose here, and I'm gonna put some lips on there. And this could be the start for a head maybe. So it can become a lot of different things. So that's soft slab. Now I'm gonna use this for something else for you guys. And I'm gonna have this be the base of a coil pot now because I'm doing all the techniques. So let's say the base of my coil pot needs to be the shape of a bean. I'm doing a lot of bean things. That's gonna be the base of my coil vessel. Okay, if that's the case, then I'm gonna set this aside for a minute and I'm gonna show you guys how to roll coils. Now coils I don't like rolling on fabric and they don't usually stick to your table. So I've got my wedged clay here is what I'm gonna use, and I'm just gonna get a chunk off about the size of my hand, like that fits inside there, and I'm gonna squeeze it and get it starting to become a coil shape. Now this is just squeezing it and getting it close. So I've got it right there so far. To make a good coil, you want never to have your hands tight together. You always want spread out fingers. You always want to make sure it makes a full rolling rotation. So that means you don't just roll there to there to there to there. That side never got rolled. You have to roll it all the way over, all the way back. So to roll coils, I like to get most of the pressure on this middle finger and then I let it roll out, 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 out. So let's watch me do this. So I'm rolling really big all the way out. Now right now, it hasn't happened yet. If you hear a thumpy sound, you need to stop. Let's see if I can make the thumpy sound happen. I'm just too good at making coils. I'm gonna make it on purpose, the thumpy sound. Hear how it's thumping? That means my coil is now oval shaped instead of round. So stand it up so it's the tall way on the oval and just kind of press those spots down and get it back to more round. I can feel the oval happening. I did it on purpose. And you want to make it nice so my fingers are spread out. Spread out fingers are the secret. And that one little handful of clay sure made a really nice big coil. Make sure it's about the same size from end to end, and it looks really good. So this will be my coil to put on my base. So to put this on, I'm going to find my scoring tool, and I'm just going to score around the edges. And I like to score again in 2 directions. This is just one so far. And add a little water. Just a little, don't have much in your brush at all. Just a little more than that. And I'm gonna scratch it one more time. And this one I just need to do once. Okay, now I'm about to do something wrong. If I laid this coil on right now, I missed something. So I need to take my coil. Don't forget to score it as well. And I don't like to score the entire coil at first. I just kind of go in sections at a time. I told you scoring and slipping, you'll spend more time doing that than anything, but it's pretty important. Okay, now I can begin. So if I wanted this bean vessel to get bigger, I would keep setting each coil out just a little bit further and out a little further. If I wanted it to go in, I would set them to the inside. I'm gonna make it get a little bit bigger. Okay, I'm watching to see where my... So I'm setting it just to the outside a little bit. And I can see right to there, I need to score again. And if you want to score the whole thing, you can. So I'm just going to get around a couple of layers. You guys will maybe build yours up to be a lot more layers than this. And I stop right there because I've got to score the next layer. So you have to score and slip everything together. And this has already been scored and slipped on this side. And I'm setting it to the outside. Okay, I need to start scoring it. Now, you can knit as you go if you'd like. I'm gonna go ahead and score this. I'll set this down right over here. Turn it upside down. And you can work in shorter chunks of coils if you want to. I'm just keeping mine going the whole time. That's just what I wanted to do. I'm gonna go ahead while I'm doing this, just keep one up here too, because I've got it in my hand. Okay, so let's keep going. I'm setting these to the outside edge to make this get bigger and bigger. Now I talked about knitting something together. That's already done. This has slip on it, so I'm going to use water. So you can knit as you go. Let's say that I want it to look smooth on the outside and I want to get rid of this coil kind of texture. So knitting means that you're going to push one coil down on top of the other. And that just means you're going to go like this, just pushing it down a little bit just to the next level below. And if you get it too slippy, then it's hard to get it to do that. Can you get down low so you can see this happening? And I'm kind of doing multiple amounts of coils at the same time. So this will make it super watertight. If you want it really to make sure that it's going to hold a liquid, you can do the inside as well. And you can use tools. We have some, like, I think we have wooden knife tools, some kind of carving tools. There are some little tools, like if it's a really tight spot and you need to use like a tool to kind of help knit things together, you can do that too. I just like using my fingers. And then you could come in, if this was really tall and you had this all knitted together and you wanted it really smooth, remember our metal rib. Again, just like with our other tools, make sure they're clean along the edge before you start scraping with them, so you don't get like drag marks of things, but you can scrape these smooth. So that is and you'd do a lot more cleanup than that to keep going, but that's the basics of the coil vessel. So I've shown you soft slab, coil, how to wedge, and I think, oh, pinch method. Let's do a quick pinch method really fast. So I've already wedged this. You don't need a ton of clay like if you're pinching, but start with a round ball to begin with. But this small, tiny ball would make a pretty big pinch pot if you wanted to. So it's such a simple one. You just get a ball, insert your thumb, get it so that you can kind of feel it, and you just start from the bottom and methodically pinch, move, spin it as you go. I'm starting at the bottom, I can feel it moving up a little bit. Just spinning and pinching until you get it the thickness that you want it. That's still pretty thick, so then I would start again at the very bottom and I could keep going. I could do that all again. You can see maybe I didn't wedge very well. There's still some kind of cracks in there, but I can smooth those out. And another tool to help smooth things would be, we've got these sponges. These are a little aggressive when they clean things off, but they can smooth some things out. You can see it can kind of wipe out some cracks and things, but they're pretty useful to use for cleanup stuff. If you get things too soggy, they're gonna get weak. The drier you let this get, like leather hard we know is really strong, but you can't like be pinching it much. But you gotta just kind of watch that moisture. If it's getting really wet, then it's gonna get really floppy. So that could be really nice for a coil vessel. I could change the shape of this coil vessel if I needed it to be something else. I could turn it into something interesting. I could score and slip things on. I could do a lot of things like that. Now let's just say really quick, one last thing. I wanted to score onto this coil vessel a big round ball. I'm not sure why, but maybe it's an eyeball that sits on top of here. That's way thicker than my thumb. So what I could do is I could get one of my loop tools and I could carve this out and make it hollow. Or I could make it just a little baby pinch pot. Gotta get that nice and hollow inside. So it's not thicker than my thumb. Now it's hollow. Now I could score it and slip that on and it's not gonna explode, but it has trapped air. So just remember, if I scored and slipped this on, let's say I scored and slipped, I'm not doing this fast, but if I scored and slipped that there, of course I'd get it wet and do all that stuff. Air can't be trapped inside because as it shrinks, it'll pop it off. So I'm gonna have to get a pin tool and somewhere I'm gonna have to have just a little like air hole for air to escape if I was to score and slip that on and leave this hollow. So just be aware of that as well. Okay, I've thrown a bunch of techniques your way, enough to help you get planning and get started. And I'll probably show you a lot more things in class, just little tidbits of things, but there's so many cool things you can do. You can carve into surfaces, you can put in textures of all kinds of things if you want to. You can do a lot of cool stuff. So play is just so much fun. All right, thanks guys.